Intelligent but not brilliant, pampered from birth as the only child of aristocrats, and crippled by polio, Franklin Delano Roosevelt was hardly predestined for a rendezvous with presidential greatness. But his political flexibility and infectious charisma made him perfectly suited to meet the unprecedented challenges of his presidency.
I pledge myself to a new deal for the American people.
Number 32, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Democrat, 1933 to 1945, 51 years old, from New York.
FDR's difference from his predecessors was only a difference of degree, about 180 of them.
FDR was the fifth cousin of Theodore Roosevelt. He was a C student at Harvard, enjoyed sailing and stamp collecting. Although he could be very private, FDR brought an easy charm to the White House.
It must have been amazing to meet Franklin Roosevelt. Everybody talks about it, what a strong personality he had. Winston Churchill compared meeting him to opening your first bottle of champagne.
He was a person of enormous personal charm, but so many of his contemporaries say that at bottom they didn't know what made him tick, what was really going on behind what they frequently called the actor's mask of his face.
Mr. Roosevelt's daughter Anna said that he was very difficult to know, that no one really knew him. He was a loner.
FDR was stricken with polio at the age of 39. He was virtually confined to the homemade wheelchair that he personally designed using a kitchen chair. During his presidency, the handicap was downplayed.
He tried to be photographed standing, even though he had to lock these 10-pound leg braces to actually get in a standing position, and had to brace himself on something, a lectern or the arm of an associate.
Clinging to someone's arm, he could disguise his painful steps. He also had a customized Ford that he drove with hand controls. In newsreels, he appeared to be an able-bodied man.
What the newsreels wouldn't show was how he managed to get out of the car. He would have had to have been lifted out. All those images are kept from the public by choice of the media.
Roosevelt's executive leadership, like his Oval Office desk, was often cluttered and chaotic, pitting advisors against each other. It was an unorthodox management style.
Somehow he is the model of the successful president. Frankly, I think he's an unfortunate model. A notion that it's rather nice to have a certain amount of administrative chaos and have your subordinates competing with each other and fighting with each other because that's supposed to make things more creative. But he was not a perfect president by any means. And I think it's a shame that he has been taken as some sort of standard of perfection ever since.
What looks to others sometimes like his messy management style of allowing too many people into the room and letting them all ventilate and so on, I think that's a mistake. I think this was part of his political genius, was to build a political house, if I can put it this way, where all those voices could be heard.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
FDR used radio to bring the presidency closer to the people. It is estimated that as many as 60% of Americans tuned in for some of his fireside chats.
Roosevelt was a master broadcaster.
This nation will remain a neutral nation, but I cannot ask that every American remain neutral in thought as well.
He just had the sense of drama that could take a rather dull political speech and emphasize just the right points, bring it to the crescendo right when you needed to be at the crescendo.
Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
During his first 100 days in office, FDR pushed an unprecedented slate of legislation through Congress to fight the Depression. This was the start of the New Deal.
The New Deal is a series of initiatives that imparted a much greater degree of security and safety and stability to American life in all kinds of sectors, in the banking sector, in the investment sector, in the home building and home owning sectors, employment, and so on.
Franklin Roosevelt had a great political partner in the New Deal, his First Lady, The crippling effects of the president's polio made Eleanor indispensable to him.
She could be his eyes and his ears and his legs, and she could tour the country, and she could reach out to people, and then she could bring the country back to him. She was always pushing the New Deal and him to do more in terms of social welfare and helping Americans. And I think that in many ways, we can really see her as the conscience of the New Deal.
The New Deal expanded beyond those first 100 days. In 1935, Congress passed the Social Security Act, creating a safety net for the elderly, disabled, and unemployed. Despite the passage of the Social Security Act, FDR's New Deal didn't put an end to the Depression. It would take the industrial mobilization of World War II to achieve that goal.
In a sense, he didn't succeed any better than Herbert Hoover did economically. Where Roosevelt succeeded was in exuding public confidence, making the Depression more palatable to people, giving people the impression that he really was doing something, that he really cared.
FDR clearly had the country believing that happy days were here again. In 1936, he was re-elected in one of the great landslides in American political history. 61% of those who voted cast a ballot for Franklin Roosevelt. FDR was feeling invincible.
People talk about Roosevelt's perfect pitch as a politician. Well, that perfect pitch deserted him in his second term.
I, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, do solemnly swear.
We really see a series of serious missteps after this incredible landslide victory in 1936.
And will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect.
By his second inauguration, FDR was worried that the conservative Supreme Court would nullify the legislative successes of his first term. He concocted a plan to tip the balance of the court by increasing the number of justices.
This seemed to many people to be a kind of power grab that went beyond what was necessary to deal with social problems and reflected a desire for power by Roosevelt himself.
The court-packing plan failed, and Roosevelt's second term became mired in legislative gridlock. The heady days of the New Deal were over, and FDR's claim on presidential greatness was yet to be fulfilled. Franklin Roosevelt was the first president to select a woman for his cabinet, Labor Secretary Frances Perkins.